Hello, this is Bridget Rao with Divine Essentials. Alright guys, so I recorded the whole video the other day, and I was talking about what was coming up and all of that, and then halfway through, the microphone that I was using died, so it canceled out more than half of the video. But since then, other things have happened anyways. It all started, right? I went outside, I was out there for a little while, and in a short period of time while I was out there, I saw 2 different shooting stars. And I feel like that did something, like it activated something. Also, having tons of ringing in the ears, tons of synchronicity, just even to the point where I'd be writing something down while a podcast is playing, and as I write a certain word, that podcast will say that certain word. It was confirming things for me. Now, I went into a deep dive on stuff, but I feel like there was a reason for it, particularly because the next day, the things that deep dive brought up, or the wisdom that came from that deep dive, that rabbit hole of information, was heavily in the collective. And there was a lot of people commenting on my post that had absolutely nothing to do with it, that really kind of spun within the information. So, like I said, saw the 2 shooting stars. I came in here and I had saw a post that it was about a tweet that Trump had put out about Kamala there, and he had misspelled her name with a B. And people in the comments are trying to figure out why he misspelled it that way. Is he trying to say B was for black, or was it for B was for because it's a combination of Obama? Just all these different things. But for some reason, when I looked at that, Camilla came to mind. And some of you probably know, Camilla is our queen over there on the other side of the world. Over here, we got Kamala, and then over there, they got Camilla. And my brain works like that. I'm so I wanted to know the origin of those names. And Camilla is the feminine of Camillus. And it is a term for a youth serving as an assistant to a priest in ritual. It's from ancient Rome religions, the Etruscan origins. It's a youth employed in a religious service or a temple servant. And I even started looking up the evil meaning of Camilla, because for you've heard, I'm sure you've heard, there's a lot of people who are oh yeah, I was a child and the priest and things like that have done bad stuff. So anybody that's in those positions, I question how they got there, what they're all about, what's their energy all about. But for some reason, I went into this deep dive and I found out that was the thing. The one for Kamala is actually an Indian name. It's a Sanskrit word and it means lotus. And the lotus is about rising out of the darkness and out of the mud and all of that. So it's not a negative one, but either way, here we are. When I found out about the Camillus, that brought me into this deep dive into this information about a guy whose name was Camillus. Anyways, the dogs both got up to drink. One of them needed to get picked up. The last time I recorded this, Alcyon and Alcyon and Sirius were up my ass the whole time. They kept headbutting me, distracting me. It's crazy. Now Sirius is at my feet because I got up and told Sadie she's a good girl and put her on the bed. There's something about this message. There's something in general, okay, where there's power in our voice. There's power in what we speak. There's power in sharing wisdom. There's power in all of this. And they're I don't think my dogs are evil or anything like that. I just feel there has been an increase of people not wanting us to recognize that, spiritual attacks and stuff like that in the energy. Distractions, now another dog is drinking. Just seriously paused because Sadie was, and I knew I was going to pick her up. Then Mona went, and now Sirius is. And they just did that not that long ago, so it's just weird stuff. It's okay, let me get the message out there. But yes, it's a Indian name, Sanskrit, means rising out of the darkness. Now, when I went to the Camilla stuff, it's the masculine. He was a saint, okay? He was not born a saint. He grew up with a weird kind of dynamic. His dad was very much into gambling. He became a gambling addict. He was in the war, but he got hurt when he was in the war. And now Alcyon is drinking. Got a big wound on his leg that just seeped forever. Until the day he was dead, that wound never healed. It did heal shortly for a short period of time, and he had tried to do things when it did, but as soon as he got there, it opened back up, and he couldn't stay there, and he had to go back, and it was just one of those weird things. But it was synchronistic for me because of when my feet had those big open wounds and how much I struggled with how am I a healer, but I have these wounds that I can't heal. And the next day, somebody that I know messaged me and was like, you remember when you were having that, like, that thing go on with, like, the bruises on your feet and stuff? She's like, I have that too now. I have them on my hands and on my feet. And then, like, the next day from that was a year ago to the day I had shared a video on the channel talking all about that. And it was like the big picture of it. I screenshot it and sent it to her, and she's like, oh my God, that's so weird. So it's like these weird little reminders of these little things come up to like make me feel like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like me thinking that way because he had it on his leg, it never healed, but like me equating that to the things on my feet wasn't crazy for me to think about, because not only like do I have those two little moments, then she messages me, and then the next day something else happens to like give me that further confirmation that yes, you're right in that like putting those things together. Just like I maybe seem crazy for putting Camilla and Kamala together, but some of us, it doesn't always have to make sense on the logical level. He grew up, he was, he was not in the best of way, left the war because he was hurt, and he ended up gambling left and right, and his life was just crazy. Like he was like literally a beggar, had nothing, and then he started getting like kind of interested in going into church and helping there, but like he couldn't because of the circumstances that he was under. Like they didn't want him with the wound and things like that. So at one point he went into a hospital and he was like bartering. He was trading his time, like helping others so he could also get worked on his leg and have somewhere to stay and have some food and all of that. So yeah, this is exactly what I did last time, was hold him, and he did this. So anyways, he was bartering his time, and all of the people that were there, he noticed that they weren't, why are you crying? He noticed that they weren't getting like very good help because the doctors and the nurses and everybody didn't actually care, especially if the people were poor. So as his life went on, he started dedicating more and more of his time and finding other people to help him, to dedicate time and energy to helping people who needed it that couldn't afford it. And that's like what he did. And he ended up making this big thing out of it. He wanted to support the sick and the dying with the process of death, but not just like on the physical level, on a spiritual level. He ended up being known as having the gift of prophecy and healing, even though he had that open wound. He began like a whole order, and the cardinal at the end ended up being like, yes, like he took it and said, okay. And then he asked for permission to have himself and the people that were like connected to this order wear a big red cross on the front of their clothing, which was literally like saying like they're the Red Cross. So that's where we have the Red Cross from, was from Camilla's. And the whole point of me reading this, even though he went through all those difficulty things, right? Even though his life was suffering, he was struggling, like even in the times that he couldn't walk, he would crawl to help the sick people. He would do what he could do. And it doesn't matter where you've been or what you're going through, your struggles. You can still be known as a saint in the end. You can still turn your life around. You can still be something with yourself that's like different. And the people who go through the suffering, the people who go through the struggling, they're going to most likely be the ones that are able to do something well with themselves, or to make a difference for others, or actually care. Because like the people that were there in the hospital, they were just there for a paycheck. So the people that were there that needed help, that needed care, that were extremely sick, they weren't getting it because those other people didn't care. They're like, oh, they're not going to be able to pay me, I don't care. But because he had been sick and because he had suffered, he knew what it was like to suffer and to struggle and to care. Like, or to give care, because he knew what it would be like to not have that care. And he dedicated the rest of his life to doing that. And he did turn his life around. You know, he struggled a lot with the gambling, and he finally was able to overcome that and then like dedicate himself to like making this order, which is still known today. Like he's got this whole legacy today that I had no idea about that. So like without the suffering, you wouldn't know what it's like. You wouldn't know what good is. Without the dark, you wouldn't know the light, all of that type of stuff. The next day, I ended up like having people commenting on my stuff, and they were like, kind of like telling me about a lot of different trauma. There was it was just like a random post too. It was like an ADHD thing, like, welcome to the world of like, you know, being a weirdo and being isolated. And there was a person under there that was like, blah, 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 saying all the stuff that like they've been through, struggled with. And then another person came in and was saying those types of things. And I said to that person, I was like, you know, there's a reason that you go through that stuff. Like, you're not just here to struggle and suffer. You're not here just to have a miserable life. You probably are going through those things because you have a soul that has a purpose. You're meant to heal those things. You're meant to overcome those things. You're not here to be the horrible, like, no good thing of your family. You're here to stop whatever thing is going on in your family that's not good. Like, if everybody in your family is all focused on money and all focused on status and all focused on ego pursuits, you're probably going to come in and break the mold with that, because that shit doesn't really matter. Especially when you leave here. Like, do you think God really cares how much money you have in your bank account, or what size house you have, or what type of car you drive? No. Like, no. And you don't either. Your soul doesn't. 1111. You may think that you do consciously or on an ego level, but your soul does not care about those things. Your soul cares about giving and like loving and receiving those things back. And it's like a lot of people go through struggles to be able to turn those struggles into something. And when you do look into the Bible, or you look into these stories of the saints and all of that, you'll see these stories of just normal people, prostitutes, gamblers, like people who did horrible things that turn around and become known for something, and be like perform these miracles or do all these things that are completely breaking out of that mold. So it's up to you to break that mold. But I don't know, I wanted to share that with you guys, and then it sparked something. It was like after that there was more and more things that came about, and it even shifted like the timeline or the energies that I was on, like the things that I was like being drawn to or interested in. It was like everything shifted very quickly. And the next day, things that were coming into my awareness were like, you are a miracle. The fact that you are even here is a miracle. Like, it's astronomically like crazy that you exist. Like, the amount of people who will never exist is just, but the fact that you do is like, it's just such big numbers. So the fact that you are even here makes you priceless, incredibly rare, and one of a kind. Like, nobody else is ever, even if you're like a twin, right? Like, you're like, we have the same type of DNA type of stuff. You will still be individuals. You will still be very unique. And beyond even on the physical level, because every single human being on this planet is going to be unique and different. Nobody else is going to have the same exact traits, DNA, and all of that type of stuff. You are literally like your own little thing. But on the soul level, even more so. And how you behave and how you go through life. Even children that grow up in the same home, they can go through the exact same shit, but process it completely different. There's nobody else out there who is going to think like you, or do the things you do, or say, feel, or be in any way as you are. You're never going to be duplicated, and it's astronomically unbelievable that you are even here. The fact that any of this is here is also like astronomically unbelievable, because everything had to come together in such a certain way for it to even exist. So when you start to look at things like that and recognize that about yourself, you can start to break out of that, like, you know, feeling like I'm not good enough, or comparing yourself. Everybody compares themselves to others, or my family, or like people, and it's like, but none of them are you, and none of them, like, they can't be you. So who cares? Like, they can't be you. So, and you can't be them. So don't even try. You are the real miracle, so you need to treat yourself as that. You came here for a reason, or you wouldn't be here. And you matter. You have a purpose. And you have all the potential and abilities to do incredible things. Even you existing is an amazing thing. So embrace it and remember that and share that with others. Other part was like, you are God. Okay, that was like the next day that I had this like, woo. I can't remember what I was listening to, but it was, I think it was one of those guys that does like this type of stuff. Like, it was like a podcast or interviewing somebody. But while I was listening to it, I realized like you are God. Like, you create everything. And these are things that I've come to, like, it's in my awareness, it's been there, but then it like slips away and it comes back. And it's like, these are things that you need to remember. Like, you are the God because you create everything. Even if you aren't physically, like, you didn't like put the world together physically, you perceive the world in the way that you do. The fact that you have a consciousness to know what God is the only reason that God exists. So like, you are God. You perceive everything, you define everything, you imagine everything in a certain way. Even like the calendar, okay? When people look at the calendar or imagine the calendar in their mind, some people imagine it like 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, like they do like January, February, March, and then beneath it they do April, May, June, right? Other people do it like straight across, like January to December, and other people do it in a circle. They're like, oh, January, February, March, April, and they do a circle. That's how they imagine the calendar in their mind when they're asked, like, how do you see the calendar? I feel like there's reasons for that. I feel like possibly like maybe some schools like take like the clock and are like, okay, so there's 12 clock, but there's also 12, months. There's 12 zodiac signs, like, right, all of that stuff. But then other schools make more show people like the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But regardless, your consciousness, your ability to create, your ability to perceive, your ability to know is what creates those things to begin with, or is able to perceive those things to begin with. So it's like God would not exist without you. Your God is different from mine. Everything about you and everything about me is we're going to have our own unique ways. Like we may have similar ways of perceiving things. We may have similar ideas about stuff, but we will never see things exactly the way that another will. So we are all God, but we are all an extension of God. We are all one, creating out of the source that was or is, and we are creating it in our own unique way. And you get to decide how that looks and how that is and how that feels and where that goes and what you're going to do with that. And you can adopt new ways. Like you can change, instead of looking at the calendar, boop, 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 I'm going to start looking at the calendar this way. And in those little tiny things, those little shifts, those little ways of changing your perceptions can ripple through and change so much because it's very subtle. But everything you imagine is unique. Your inner voice, your knowing, your mind, your ideas, your visions, your desires, your dislikes, they're all designed and created and built by you and only you, and nobody else can duplicate that or even know that unless you share that with them. And even when it comes down to perceiving things in the physical world, like when we're in school, they'll be like, okay, this is black and this is white. But you don't know that that what you see for black and what I see for black are both the same. We just both know that whatever that looks like has been labeled black. So forevermore, we will say that that's black. Same thing with like the red light, green light, right? Who the hell knows that everybody, we just know that that's red because somebody said it's red. But you don't know that you perceive it the same way that I perceive it. It may look blue to me and green to you, but it's called red, right? That's how this is. This is in every moment, every breath, every thought, in every second, you are God, you are creator, you are infinite, you are consciousness, and you are consciously existing. You are alive in infinite ways, through infinite timelines, through infinite realities right now. And everything, absolutely everything, is because of you being, seeing, feeling, knowing, hearing, speaking, and thinking with imagination, visualizing, and believing, through learning, growing, trying, through not trying, and through running and stopping. So it's up to you to be you and to be unique and to trust like who you are. But these are things that came about from just that, like those two little shooting stars to the Kamala, and then like I really feel like it shifted. Something shifted over these last few days. And like these new understandings were coming in and recognizing. And the other thing that I had written here before even all of that was get ready because blessings are coming in. You were tested and now you win. You passed all the tests and you are ready to level up. Everything that was sent your way has now begun to hit the sender. Your path is clearing. Anything that wasn't serving is being cleared out, and anybody that wasn't serving you or was maybe attacking you you're going to see the results of that. But you've got to remember these things as you move forward and not become the victim of this reality. Become the conscious creator of this reality and recognizing like how powerful you are, merging, into who you are and who you were, becoming one. And recognizing what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy and embracing those things without feeling like I have to be aligned to certain things because it's what's expected to me or what other people would do or what would other people say if they know and all of that. Some of the messages that came about, I can't believe how difficult it was for me to get to record this. Hopefully this has recorded and isn't just like off or something weird. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I probably am, but I guess it will come in the next video. I was going to do a video about like when you feel like you're stuck, like not connecting to spirit, but I've definitely been connecting to spirit, so it's like it got pushed off because of all these other things that were coming up. But your mission and purpose is to be in service of others, to be healers, seers, lovers, to empathize with others, to overcome the struggles, to embrace the duality, to awaken others, to awaken self, to remember who we are, to unite everyone in harmony, to surrender and allow, to encourage and uplift, to rise above all that you've encountered, to be authentic, to help and educate, to shift the frequencies, to accept yourself and to align your frequency, to feel everything, to learn and evolve. And to remember that you are God. So thank you, Great Spirit. Thank you, Emissaries of Light. Thank you, I Am Presence. Thank you, Gaia. Thank you, Ascended Masters. Thank you, Archangels. Thank you, Jesus and Mary. Thank you, Animal Kingdom. Thank you to the ancestors, and thank you to yourself. You are worthy of abundance, love, health, joy, peace, safety. You deserve love and compassion, and you have everything necessary to succeed and grow. Abundance flows infinitely now. Money and sales are helping to go. Rise up into the full mission with grace and ease in order to serve humanity. It's okay to receive everything that you need to be comfortable. So you are divinely protected, and every evil thought, energy, intention, or attack sent your way is immediately transmuted into prosperity and abundance. Every day we are surrounded by our guides and by the vibrations of pure light. By love, peace, serenity, and comfort. We are safe, we are secure, and we are stronger than any ill will or harm wishers. We are respected and loved, cherished, and absolutely magnetic. We are sexy, confident, smart, and funny. We are the most abundant versions of ourselves, and we get paid to just exist. We give and receive with infinite support and resources. Everything is working out for us easily and effortlessly. Money is flowing through, and we are attracting abundant reach. The bells are ringing. Put it in there the way that you want. Like, what is that word? You have multiple streams of income. What are your multiple streams of income? Open them up and allow yourself to reach out with honest integrity. All right, so hopefully that makes sense for anybody out there that listens to this or has gotten this far. Thank you for liking. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for subscribing. It really does help me a lot. I just finished up the Divine Feminine, Divine Masculine energy updates on Patreon for today. They were both like 19 minutes long. On Freaky Friday, it was a 60-minute long video. Those are all under the $5.55 a month tier. And yeah, there's like 60 posts in there now. More coming. And if you would like to join me over there, you're welcome to. If not, you can stay here and continue. I also put 2 new offers on my Etsy shop. One is record cutting, and I did one yesterday that was fucking crazy. Like, when I did the one on the channel, it took so long. Like, it was hours upon hours upon hours before it went out. And I feel like that was because of how many people were a part of it, right? But when I did it for this person, the whole thing burnt. It was done within an hour, under an hour. I started at 4:44 p.m. and by 5:55 p.m. I was talking about it to people like, oh my God, I can't believe how crazy that was. And I had used 2 white candles. This one on this side for the darker person or the lower vibe person was like icky white. And on this side, it was like pure white. So that's not the only one out there. There's another offer on my shop where it's like I make a ritual specific for you. So I have my whole thing of like different things in there, like all the different herbs and candles and stuff like that. So you choose the intention. Do you want love, money, or protection? And then not only do you have me do a specific candle ritual for you on camera, but I'll do a 20-minute reading for you too with tarot and oracle cards where I'll like intuitively, pick the cards. You can either ask 5 questions specifically about anything you want to ask about, or be open to receive the messages that come for you in that time. So both of those are on the Etsy. I do have a sale on some of the things happening in there right now. And in the $111 tier on the Patreon, I have now added the whole thing of the Monika rights, which is usually $111 just to get the Monika rights through my website or my Etsy shop. But if you join the $111 tier, you'll get like the tarot teachings that are in there up to this point, plus all of the Monika rights that are in there now. And more will be coming every other Sunday. I'll be posting things in there, more teachings, more stuff. Once somebody's in there too, I can ask them, what do you want to learn? Like, what do you want me to teach you? Right now it's kind of weird being like, I'm teaching you, but nobody's there to teach. So it's definitely worth it to join with the $111 Monika in there and more to come. You'll also get the private reading every month. You'll get all of the activations every month. You get all the private reading, or all the readings that I put in there every month that everybody can see in the 555 tier and up. And then the Mystic Monthly Overview I did on Monday, the first Monday of the month. And that was like, there was a lot of themes that are coming up that I can already see showing up throughout this month. And then Thursday night, I'll be live on this channel at 9 p.m. And yeah, so I don't know. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I guess I'll see you in the next one. So thank you, thank you, thank you. In Renee, namaste.